Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Beers, and I welcome you to our first online Latin class, studying the Latin Road to English Grammar, Volume 1. This will be the first of 32 class sessions as I help you learn Latin while also building your skills in English grammar, vocabulary, and even advanced spelling. Before we get to the fun stuff, let me go over some information on how these classes work. As I have mentioned to all of you, each Sunday evening, I will email a link to the current class recording to every student, plus a PDF packet including assignments and any extra pages for that week. You have the freedom to view the class on your own schedule and complete the assignments between Monday and Friday. I will make sure you have the link available for the entire week so you can review it as many times as you want. Then on Saturday, I will remove that link and have a new class link for the next class on Sunday evening. If any of you have a question that doesn't seem to be answered in the class, feel free to email me anytime at barbara@thelatinroad.com. If you need a phone conversation, I am available between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday. We will be correcting all translation exercises and worksheets together throughout the study in the class following their assignment. But I would like to grade each of the 7 tests myself that you take over the course of the year to be able to give your parent or teacher a grade to use as needed. So you will need to be able to scan and email me those completed pages. Now for the fun stuff. I'm very excited that we have students joining us from around the world for these classes, so I want to celebrate that with what I call On the Latin Road Around the World. Each class, I will display in the background behind me a well-known location representing either a different country or a different state in the United States. You don't have to know the exact city or area, just the name of the U.S. state or the country. Enlist the help of parents, teacher, or friends, then text me your answer. You all have my cell number, so all you have to do is text me your name and the location of the background picture, and I will keep track of your answers throughout the year for a special prize at the end of Volume 1. Let me share this first location with you, as it is where I live in Redding, California. Behind me is a picture of our sundial bridge, designed by famous architect Santiago Calatrava, one of just a handful of his cantilever bridges around the world. It spans the Sacramento River in Redding, connecting walking and biking trails, and forms a large sundial. Now that you all get credit for our first location, let's take a look at the resources we will be using this year. The center of the study is your textbook, which we will work through chapter by chapter, each chapter taking 2 to 3 class sessions. There are worksheets that act as quizzes bound in the back of the textbook and are perforated so they can be torn out and completed at the end of each chapter. You also have a package of tests separate from the textbook that will be given every 2 chapters. Give this packet of tests to your parent or teacher to hold for you until they're needed. Within your 3-ring binder, you will record all your written work for the year and organize it into your very own reference handbook. This is not just mindless busy work, but a crucial part of the multisensory method of hearing, saying, reading, and writing Latin and English, which helps you retain much more information. The colored notebook paper and colored pens for the year are included, but you will need regular notebook paper for the rest of your written work. As we progress through the study, I will be showing you exactly what the notebook pages look like. This double-sided chart included with your notebook contains all the details of Latin grammar at a glance. The more Latin you learn, the more this chart will be useful for reference. Most of you also have a set of student vocabulary cards, which are your personal drill cards for new Latin words. These will be used daily beginning in Chapter 2, and it might be a good idea to either laminate the pages or cover them with clear contact paper to make them last through this year and even through the next year as you continue your study. Once you get them covered, cut them apart this week and put them in order of the numbers on the back of the card. Some of your parents or teachers already have the curriculum set that comes with a bit larger version of the vocabulary cards, and you can use those to drill every day if you like. As an encouragement to you at the beginning of this study, if you are faithful in the work we do each week, you will experience the foundations, both in Latin and English, of all the parts of speech, several sentence structures, some serious vocabulary, and at the end of this year, you will be able to translate this Latin paragraph and even answer questions about the story. Now, open your textbook to Chapter 1 and let's begin learning together. This first chapter is just a review of English and kind of an introduction to Latin grammar. It's giving you kind of a big picture of where we're going through the rest of the study, and it gives me a chance to define some things for you. So not everything will have to be memorized, but I just need to give you some basic information. You already have your notebook set up for, let's move down to 1.2, the alphabet. Really the most important thing about this as you read through is that our alphabet, or the Roman alphabet that we use in English as well as in Latin, was developed by the Phoenicians many centuries ago. They gave us our consonants. It wasn't until the Greeks added the vowels to it that we got our full alphabet that we know today. There are a little bit of differences in our alphabet as far as the original Latin alphabet. An important thing to learn about that is that we don't, in Latin, we don't have the letter J. The I was used for both I and J in original Latin. And so there is no J in those Latin words. There is no W in original Latin words. That they used a combination or U and V for that way back when, so there are no W. And Y. The Y actually uses the I in Latin words. So the words will be a little bit different in looks if you just realize that the Y isn't there, it uses the I. So that's just a few things. No J, no W, no Y in original Latin words. Let's look at pronunciation. Okay, we're going to you're going to do an assignment with the pronunciation here. And it's not a spoken language. In other words, we don't converse in Latin, but we do learn to pronounce it correctly. We do hear some in music, and a lot of our classical music is in Latin. Some of the old church liturgies and things and texts are in Latin, but we don't really use this anymore. But we will learn to pronounce it because we will kind of talk to ourselves as we're learning how to write it out. So we might as well get a consistent pronunciation. You can read about the two traditions of spoken Latin. One is a Germanic, a little bit harder spoken language that's called a classical Latin pronunciation. And another is more of Italian, the softer, closest to English church Latin pronunciation, and that's the one I use here. Look at this chart here. We're going to look at the consonants first. You'll notice that all those in bolded letters are exactly like English. Very easy to learn all the consonants. Okay, little bit difference with the C. Yes, it has its k, hard k sound, but its soft sound is ch. And it's usually when it's followed by an E and I or two of our diphthongs. Okay, the G is just like English with its two sounds, hard G and a soft J. Of course, there's no J in Latin. We move down. The S, it just says the sound, the first sound, a more common that we know of S. It never says Z like we do in English. No W in Latin. The X does say X just like we do, but in a few Latin words, you'll hear Gz, a little more of a G sound there. No Y in Latin, and then a little bit of a D sound at the beginning of Z for the Z. So very easy to learn the consonants. The vowels are a bit different, though, if you've never spoken. Now, these are the vowel sounds of most of our European languages. They continued this, their Latin vowel sounds of long and short. The letter A always says ah, as in father in Latin, just that one sound. Okay, the E says eh, like in pet, that's what we do in English, but its long sound is A, as in they. Okay, so it's a. Now, the letter I, just like English, first sound is I, it's short sound, sit, but in its long sound is E, as in machine. Probably the E and the I are the hardest things to get used to when you haven't looked at a different language other than English. The I is also used as in the place of the Y that we know to say yeah to that consonant sound. It's when it's used at the beginning of a word or when it's a consonant between vowels. And I will show you and I will tell you and point out these things to you as we come to those words. This is, again, just an introduction to the tools of Latin. The O is just like English. Ah as in stop and O as in stone. Okay, those are the two sounds. The U is a bit different in that it doesn't say its name U. It just says a part of that oo sound of it. Oo as in loop. Okay, not too bad. Up to this next column, we have diphthongs, which diphthongs are what we know as vowel teams, but it's when two vowels come together to produce one sound. And that's what a diphthong is. We will define it in a few minutes. The OE, which we would look at and say, oh, that says O, like in toe, actually says A. The AE, which we don't see in English as far as our vowel teams go, it is a definite Latin vowel team. If you ever see a word in English that uses this AE ending to it, it's going to be a straight Latin word that we have borrowed. The EI also says A. So those three diphthongs each say A. AU says ow. EU says you. It puts the y sound in there. Europe. You probably, that's how we spell it. The U and the I come together to say we. All right. So let's go down to some of our consonant teams here. We have the CH, which we more often say ch, but this always says k, as in character in Latin. Always that hard k sound. The C and the I come together to give us chi. Okay. The G and the U come together to give us gu, as in language. Okay, that's very easy for us. That is an English word. The PH says f, just like it does in English. Okay, S and U come together to say swa. The TH only has its sound, air sound of f. It doesn't have the v, only the first f sound. The BS at the end of a word says ps, and the BT at the end of a word says pt. And again, there's only a few of these, and I will point them out to you as we get to them. The suffix TIA actually is very Italian sounding. It says sia in some of the Latin suffixes. Okay, so this is your pronunciation chart that you will actually write and put into your notebook. And this is what it will look like. If you fold your notebook page in half, you'll form two columns. You'll write it just like they have in the textbook. What I've done is I've just used a different color pen or a pencil, whatever you're using, to denote and highlight those that are the exact same as English. But I put all the notes in there that are on that chart. Remember, this becomes your Latin pronunciation reference in your notebook. Okay, so there's all your vowels, your diphthongs, your other phonograms and such, and this is what it looks like. I actually did cross out the J, the W, and the Y, just to give me a good visual of the fact that we don't have those in original Latin words. All right, so let's move on to page 5. Right up here, we're going to talk about accent. This is what's important about this is that Latin words are never accented on the last syllable, which if you speak or have learned Spanish or French or any of those, very often words are accented on the last syllable. That will never happen in Latin words. And again, I will go through everything that's pronounced for you as we go through this, but it's just always a good thing to learn. We come to our first definition. We do have a definition section of our notebook, and this is where we begin putting those. Those don't find themselves in a chart or whatever. They're just sitting out here in bolded letters with the definition right next to it in parentheses. So of course a diphthong is 2 vowels that represent 1 sound, and we list those off. This is what it looks like as we title a definitions page and add our first definition. All the other definitions you'll see in a little bit will come after this, and you'll keep adding them throughout the whole year's study. Below that, 1.3 is readings. Every chapter has a reading. You don't have enough information to do any translating of readings. And so we use these more to recognize maybe some English words in the readings to give us pronunciation practice especially. This is the Lord's Prayer in Latin. I have probably several bookshelves worth of Latin textbooks all the way back to the mid-1800s. And in every single textbook is this near the beginning of the book. It's a very simple Latin. It's very well known Latin. It's very historical Latin. And so it is used from the very beginning for beginners to use. I have bolded each accented syllable, so you know you could read this through once I teach you how to do this. Anything that's bolded is accented, okay? What I would like to do is read it through for you, and then I'm going to read it and pause and give you a chance to read with me. But this is what it sounds like. Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in temptationem, sed libera nos a malo. Okay, it's quite simple. And what I'd like to do now is I want to go phrase by phrase. I will pause and I want you to say the phrase after me. Okay, first of all, Pater noster. Qui es in celis. Sanctificetur nomen tuum. Adveniat regnum tuum. Fiat voluntas tua sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris. Et ne nos inducas in temptationem, sed libera nos a malo. Very good. Now say it with me, just a little bit more flowing, okay? You don't have to be really, really good at this yet. I'm going to have you practice this and your assignments each day for a couple of weeks, and just to get familiar with pronunciation. Together, here we go. Pater noster, qui es in caelis, sanctificetur nomen tuum. Adveniat regnum tuum. Fiat voluntas tua sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie. Et dimite nobis debita nostra. Sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris. Et ne nos inducas in temptationem, sed libera nos a malo. Now, is there any English that you kind of recognize in this? I've actually yellow lined some of the things, and it's always good to have a yellow highlighter and maybe an extra pencil to make notes with as we go along. Pater, paternity, paternal. Father, yes, that's the word father. See the word sanctify in here. Sanctificator, very long word. See the word sanctify, okay, has to do with holy. Nomen, nominate, nominative. Actually, it's the word name, nomen. Voluntas, you see the word volunteer in there. That's the word will, okay? Terra, we know the word territory, okay? Terra means earth, okay? We go through, you see the word debit in that word, debt. When you owe something, you have a debit, okay? How about, well, there's the word temptationem. Take that ending off and you do have the word in English, temptation. So that's very easy to see. And libera, you see the word liberty. That's exactly what it means, freedom, liberty. Okay, so we look at these in this beginning Latin to learn to pronounce and to maybe pick out and recognize some of the English that's in the Latin. All right, let's move down to 1.4, the parts of speech. The parts of speech in Latin are the same as English. We have nouns, pronouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, interjections. Okay, remember, this is kind of a review, and for some of you, it will be a review. You're maybe familiar with these things. If you are not, don't panic, because I am going to teach you all about them. You will be very familiar when we finish this year, because we will touch all of them, okay? Latin has no articles, and we'll see that in a minute, what those are. So what I want you to do is we're going to define and see some examples of each of the parts of speech, okay? Again, this might be something that you know well or something that you don't. So let me define them for you here. A noun is a word that names a person, place, thing, or idea. And so I've given you some examples of persons, man, brother, teacher, of places, country, city, restaurant, of things, cat or bowl or bridge, or ideas. And sometimes we forget about nouns being ideas, humor or hope or wisdom. Okay, now a noun that speaks of a particular person, place, or thing is actually called a proper noun, and it always begins with a capital letter. In other words, a particular man His name is John. You are pointing out a particular person. It is his name, and it starts with a capital letter. A particular country is Italy. A particular state is California, etc. Those are proper nouns. Let's look at it a little bit more detail if you'd like, just for a moment. Again, if you have gone through the Phonics Road to Spelling and Reading or the Bridge to the Latin Road, you'll recognize these framing codes that we have worked through. These are kind of getting you ready for Latin. Notice that nouns are persons. They can be singular, plural, and proper. Okay, same with places. They can be singular, plural, or proper. Okay, and things, same thing. Okay, common nouns, singular, plural, and proper nouns. The only time a common noun is capitalized if it comes at the beginning of a sentence. Right? Most of you know how to write a sentence. And here's some of our ideas. There's names of actions. In other words, we can do the action of running, but we talk about I'm going on a run. That run then becomes a noun. The qualities with care and kindness and gladness, or conditions such as sickness or freedom or importance. Those are all ideas. Okay, for the persons, places, and things you can test. You can say one cat, many cats. In other words, something that is singular and plural, person, place, or thing. That's a good test to make sure it's a noun. With more of the quality and condition ideas, you can say with, like with care, with kindness, with hope. And that can be another test to know that it's a noun. All right, the next one is a pronoun, is a word that takes the place of a noun. And of course, we are used to in speaking and writing these very simple words, I, you, he, she, it, we. Then there's they and my and your and this. There's several pronouns that actually can take the place of a noun. We've actually looked at them. These are common subject pronouns. They are always the subject, okay? These over here are never the subject. And if you tend to get those mixed up in your English, by the time I'm finished with you, this will be easy and you'll never mix them up again, okay? Next one is an adjective. It's a word that modifies, it changes a little bit. It really describes a noun or pronoun. How many children? 6 children. You know, what color apron? A red apron. What size tree? A small tree. Which book? This book. Okay, an adjective describes a noun. Okay, it can tell what kind, color, size, feel, or look. It can tell which one. A lot of our ordinals, first, second, third, fourth, fifth in a series. It can be this or that or those. It can tell whose possessive pronouns become adjectives to us. It can tell how many. And this is all your numbers. Your numbers are often adjectives. 1 day, 2 months, 3 years, etc. Okay? You can test to see if a word's an adjective. It is very what. If those are for the what kind, the feel, and all of those, you can do that. So it is very beautiful. It is very helpful. You know, those are all adjectives. Remember those articles. I'm sure you know a, an, and the, or the, depending on what letter comes next. These are what we call articles. They're special adjectives. Latin has no articles to put before its nouns. So when you see a Latin word, it could be a Latin noun. It could be a farmer or the farmer. Okay, it just has to do with the context of the sentence. Okay, and of course, we can always test to see if a word is a noun. If you can put a or an or the in front of it, and it makes sense, it can be a noun. All right, let's look at a verb. Verb is the center of the sentence, okay? Everything else relates to the action in the sentence. So a verb is a word that shows action, links another word to the subject, helps another verb, a main verb, or merely indicates existence, okay? Spencer, what did he do? What did the subject do? He ran. Okay, shows what the subject is doing. A linking verb, just a very simple is, was, were, all those, there are a list of a few of them. Linking verbs links nurse to the subject, Kim. In other words, they're the same person. She is a nurse. It's kind of renaming her. Helping verb, can helps the verb sing show action. So Jeremy can sing well. Okay, and of course, Laura is in the house, just merely indicates the existence of Laura. Okay, doesn't link, it just shows being or existence. What does that kind of look like? We always have the main idea of the action. It's always what we call base verb, to which we can use various helping verbs and build verb phrases with helping verbs. They can be linking verbs, so they link the subject and rename him, or they link the subject with a predicate adjective describing the subject, okay? Or it shows being or existence, all right? The next is an adverb. An adverb is a word that modifies a verb, and lesser so an adjective or another adverb. Mainly, you think of an adverb describing a verb, okay? How did she sing? She sang softly, okay? Where did we look? Here. When did he work? He worked yesterday, all right? So adverbs describe the action, tells how and when and where about the action. Okay, so in fact, the questions or these how, when, and where are adverbs themselves. Okay, sometimes adverbs are formed by adding ly to an adjective. Not all lys are adverbs, but that's another way we can see an adverb. And lesser so, some adverbs describe adjectives and some describe other adverbs. Let's look at a preposition. A preposition is a word that shows how a noun or pronoun is related to some other word in the sentence. We have in the car. A preposition in always has a noun or pronoun object. So in the car, to the store, under the bed, beside the table, they always have a noun or pronoun object. Okay, we see that they can give us direction: above the earth, around the lake, near water, under the rock. Okay, so they can show direction. They can show location. Okay, behind the door, into the street, upon the table. Okay, so there we go. Each of those prepositions has a noun or pronoun object. It gives us time after church, past May, during the game, until dinner, or relationship is in about boats. Our last three we put together, we're going to put them together on a written page. So they're put together here. The articles, of course, they're the special adjectives, a, an, and the, and Latin has no articles. Okay. A conjunction is a word or a group of words sometimes that join words, phrases, or clauses. Our very most common are and, but, and or. But I know you've seen either or, neither nor, as if, so that, because. Those are common conjunctions that join. Okay, an interjection, it's just an exclamatory word that really grammatically is not related to the rest of the sentence. If you left it off, it wouldn't make a difference. It's just kind of gives you, it's a little emotional. Hey, where are you? Or, oh, I don't know. That kind of thing. The conjunctions, if you think of conjunction as joining, it connects or joins words in the subject, it connects words in the predicate, it connects or joins phrases, and it connects or joins sentences. Now, I want to show you what the notebook pages are. You're going to take each one of those definitions and the examples, each one of them, just like they are. You're going to title a page. This one is nouns. Here's the definition. Here is the examples. Here is the particular, in other words, the proper noun with its examples, just right from the book. And you're going to have a page for nouns. You're going to start a page for pronouns. You're going to start a page for adjectives. You're going to start a page for verbs and adverbs. These are all going to be added to as we go along. Prepositions. And if you've been noticing as we're going along, this little number here, that means it's in the first chapter, because you start adding more information on the page and more pages about all of these parts of speech, you'll want to know what chapter that information belongs to. Okay, you'll see as we go along with more papers. Articles, conjunctions, and interjections we put on one page and such. So just as they are on that page in your notebook. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing this week. Here is your class assignment page that's part of your PDF packet. This is divided into 4 days of work, and you're going to get a PDF of assignments accompanying all the links for each recorded class. They are fairly easy this week, as you'll be writing the pronunciation chart for your binder. You'll be reciting aloud the reading for pronunciation practice. Then you're setting up the definitions page in its own section and the parts of speech pages in the grammar section. So we'll complete chapter 1 next week with a review of basic sentence structures for both Latin and English, as well as learning how to decipher word histories from our common dictionary. See you then.